The row over unacceptable levels of lead and flavoring substances in instant noodles may land brand ambassadors in a soup. Celebrities promoting fast foods, including Maggi and other brands, may face action if samples are found violating food safety norms. Maggi brand ambassadors and other brand ambassadors will also be liable for action if advertisements are found to be misleading. The Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, the FSSAI, is testing samples of Maggi and other products collected from different states. The reports are expected in the next 2 or 3 days. You would recall, of course, that the Uttar Pradesh Food and Drug Administration had sent out notices to Nestle because Maggi had been found to contain more MSG and sodium than was authorized. Now, other states too are getting into the act, and they too have asked for Maggi to be sampled. The Uttar Pradesh FDA had ordered a recall of a 2 lakh pack batch of Maggi noodles at the end of April after a spot check showed elevated levels of monosodium glutamate, MSG, a flavor enhancer, and lead being 17 times above the permissible noodle limit. This throws up a big debate over whether or not it's okay for brand ambassadors to be prosecuted and punished for something and a product might be responsible for. I also want to take out what Maggi and Nestle have put out. They've put out a statement earlier this evening in which they say that this product has been tested. I'm going to read out now from the statement that's been put out by Maggi. They say, "We understand that consumers are concerned about reports that the authorities in Uttar Pradesh have found elevated levels of lead in a sample of Maggi noodles. We are cooperating with the authorities who are conducting further tests and we are awaiting their results." They're also saying that they've submitted samples of Maggi noodles from 600 product batches to an external laboratory for independent analysis, and these samples represent 125 million packets. The results of the internal and external tests show that lead levels are within the limits specified by food regulators and that Maggi noodles are safe to eat. That's what Nestle is saying in this statement. Joining us on whether or not it is okay for brand ambassadors to be prosecuted for any lapse in a product, if that lapse is indeed proven, I've got Harish Bijur. He's joining us from Bengaluru. Devinder Sharma, well-known food policy analyst, is joining us as well. Mr. Sharma, there's been a lot of concern among celebrities and amongst people in the advertising community about why brand ambassadors are being held culpable for the faults of a product. Do you think it's okay for the government to include Madhuri Dixit and other brand ambassadors of Maggi in the purview of the investigation that's being lodged, sir?
Well, Rahul, first of all, let me clarify that I too admire Madhuri Dixit and as well as Amitabh Bachchan, and both are legendary. But having said that, I think every celebrity has a responsibility towards the consumers and the responsibility towards the nation. Now, if they endorse a brand without looking into what it contains, because I see Madhuri Dixit telling us that this 2-minute noodle is also nutritious. I don't know where did she find out that they are nutritious, and I think this is a responsibility that the celebrities can't get away with. And there is a message here which is very powerful, and I think this should also extend to those who advertise for colas, for instance, and that I think is also equally important. And the time has come when we should have responsible advertising, we should have responsible endorsement from celebrities, and we should also have responsible consumerism in this country. So I think therefore
Harish
it is
Bijur
very
is one of
important
India's
for
best-known
celebrities to know what they are doing.
He's one of India's best-known brand managers, looks very carefully at the corporate world. Harish Bijur, Devinder Sharma is saying if you've advertised, then you're responsible for the content that you're putting out. In the same fashion as which Amir Khan has taken stances saying he will not endorse certain products. We saw Kangana Ranaut very recently say she didn't want to endorse beauty products which promise to whiten people's skin because she felt that was not correct. So you have to stand by the product that you endorse, and if that product is found to be faulty at any level, the ambassador too must be held accountable. Harish Bijur.
Yeah, sure. If you really look at it, you know, the idea is about limited liability or extended liability. In the right at the beginning, you know, the manufacturer is responsible for the product. After that, it is the sales team that takes it out. After that, it is certainly the retailer. And finally, it is, of course, the person who's actually touting it on television for a fee. But this business of limited liability and extended liability needs to be explored. Because if we go on in this manner, and if we do ask the question, how does Madhuri Dixit find out whether this is nutritious or not? I'm sure Nestle will give you a whole big file documentation which says that its noodles Maggi is nutritious. So at the end of the day, it's a question of what is right, what is wrong will proven at some point of time.
But is that not
you cannot
fair?
go after
Is that not fair, Mr. Devendra Sharma? Because if you were to, if any ambassador were to go to the product managers and say, how is Maggi nutritious, for example, they'd have a whole bunch of reasons to explain why they believe that Maggi is nutritious. So how do you hold Madhuri Dixit responsible for what the product contains? Ultimately, it's the responsibility of the company.
Well, I think let me clarify this very clearly that, once you go to the company, they will of course have all their material before them. But the fact of the matter is, Madhuri Dixit at least that she could do was to Google. I think she'll find enough information which tells her that this noodle is not nutritious. So I don't see any reason why they should not know what they are advocating. They have to know what they are advocating. They just can't get away because they are putting the life of several million people at risk because of their endorsement. So I think this is no excuse that they didn't know about it. It's like cigarette smoking. You can go on endorsing cigarette smoking and then say you didn't know that it was harmful. Come on, how long can we go on taking this kind of a crap over these several decades that we have seen cigarette smoking has turned out to be so harmful?
Stay with me for a moment, Devendra Sharma. I want to bring in a voice from Bollywood. Sunil Shetty, well-known actor, is joining us now in the newsroom. We're seeing several people very agitated about why celebrities choose to endorse products which are harmful for consumers. Now, sir, as I'm sure you know, the UP Food and Drug Administration is saying that Maggi noodles is bad for health, and the government wants to prosecute Madhuri Dixit as well. Do you, as a voice of the film world, believe that's unfair to the likes of a Madhuri Dixit, a Preeti Zinta and an Amitabh Bachchan, who are brand ambassadors for Maggi, sir?
Absolutely. I mean, we definitely do our research. We definitely do our due diligence. Maggi is a brand that's known forever, and unfortunately, today it's turned out that, a lot has been found about the product. But then why blame the celebrity who's endorsed it? You are taking action against the company. And I think that's exactly what needs to be done, because otherwise, you need to take into task everybody who's a part of the company then, which you can't do.
Okay, Devendra Sharma wants to respond to you, because this is Sunil Shetty saying, how can you hold the brand ambassador responsible? Devendra Sharma, how do you respond?
Well, I said earlier that, you have to be responsible for what you are advertising. You just can't say that I like cigarettes, so I'm smoking. I advertise cigarettes, and cigarette smoking, as far as I'm told by the companies, it is perfectly, completely natural and okay. That's what the companies claim. But is that okay for a responsible citizen to do, or for a responsible celebrity to do? I think celebrities have a responsibility. It is a great task done by FDA to really take them to the courts or whatever process they have to undergo. I think this will send a strong message to the celebrities that just because you get money, you can't play with people's life. I think that is
Sunil
a very
Shetty,
important
we've seen
message.
Kangana Ranaut take a stand just last week saying she will not endorse fairness creams because she believes that's wrong. We've seen Amir Khan take a position earlier against endorsing colas. Now, why shouldn't celebrities be expected to do their due diligence? That's the charge. That's the basic expectation, given the number of people who'd be convinced by what people like you, people like Madhuri Dixit say, sir.
It's done, and it's only when you believe that a company is doing the right thing. The FDA could have taken this decision much earlier. When the product itself was launched. It's been on for so many years, then how did we let that go? It's only the belief that it is a great product, it is a great brand, that you do your due diligence, you're loyal to their due diligence, and you go ahead and sign a contract.
Now that's an important point that you make, and I want Devendra Sharma to respond to it, because Maggi noodles has been around for decades. If nothing had been found so far which was amiss, how does Madhuri Dixit or anybody else, anybody sitting at home who eats Maggi noodles, suddenly start worrying about whether Maggi is safe or not? It could also be just this one batch of 2 lakh Maggi noodles which could possibly be problematic. How does a celebrity or anybody sitting at home know whether or not it's safe, given the fact that this product has been around for decades now, Mr. Sharma?
Well, I think this is no excuse that because the product has been there for ages that, it is believed that it is okay. But my point I'm trying to make is that they have a responsibility. They should have checked the facts. And I think one reason that, your samples can be, as you rightly said, one batch could be found faulty. But all I'm saying is that there is still a reason why the celebrity should be questioned is because, it is not nutritious, quote unquote. And I think that is something that Madhuri Dixit should have known. I think if she could do what I'm doing is to just Google and you'll find ample information. The problem with celebrities, they don't even do that. Now, don't blame others for finding a fault with you. I think you are responsible for what you are doing, and celebrities must be responsible. And that's why I said it's not only the Maggi or certain noodles, but I think we should also go to the colas. Colas are still more deadly, and I think
Harish Bijur, I want to quote what Nestle is saying in this statement.
No excuse.
They're saying that 600 product batches are being sampled independently, and they found that the level of lead, and interestingly, this statement makes no mention of MSG, which has also been found to be much more than the permissible limits. It only says that the level of lead content is not more than what is safe to eat. Now, should you want to respond to what Sunil Shetty is saying and also what Devinder Sharma is saying? Because if a product's been used for decades, should people be concerned about whether or not Maggi noodles is nutritious?
The one point I would like to make is that 100% due diligence on any product or any service by any brand endorser is just next to impossible. I would like to respect and give adequate respect to brand endorsers because I've dealt with a lot of these guys. They do their due diligence with great care, a lot of care. But nobody is going to find out that one day, there will be an MSG issue which will be found out in some market, because that is a production issue, it is a particular batch issue, it's a particular issue which is, endemic to, a particular batch possibly. So, at the end of the day, I think we should respect celebrities. They do their due diligence. Yes, things go wrong. And when they go wrong, I'm sure questions are going to be asked. But prosecuting them and going after them is not a great thing to do, because I think the best thing for companies to do in the future is to get a Fido Dido to do the advertising for them instead of a celebrity. I mean, nobody is going to run after Fido Dido.
What the government is saying as well. I chatted with Sadhvi Prachi, Minister of State for Food Processing, earlier this evening. Let's listen to what the government intends to do with Maggi, how much of a case they believe they have against Maggi, and the kind of action they intend to take. Here's Sadhvi Prachi, the Minister of State in this department.
देखिए, मैं तो इतना मानती हूँ कि देश और आम जनता नागरिकों के साथ किसी को खिलवाड़ करने का, स्वास्थ्य के हो चाहे उनके जीवन के लिए हो, स्वास्थ्य खिलवाड़ करने का किसी को मौका नहीं देना चाहिए, और जो कर रहे हैं उनके खिलाफ कड़ी कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए। महंगी के स्थिति में अभी बाहर रही हूँ, मुझे जानकारी मिली है महंगी में बहुत मिलावट मिला हुआ है, उसकी जांच चल रही है। मैं इतने कह सकती हूँ कि हमारी सरकार जमाखोरों और मिलावटखोरों के खिलाफ है, कड़ी से कड़ी कार्रवाई की जाएगी।
साध्वी प्राची, आप ये भी कह रही हैं साथ के साथ कि सरकार ने ये फैसला किया है कि जो भी सेलिब्रिटी एंडोर्सर्स हैं, माधुरी दीक्षित, अमिताभ बच्चन, प्रीति जिंटा, जितने भी एम्बेसडर्स रहे हैं इस प्रोडक्ट के, उनके खिलाफ भी कार्रवाई की जाएगी। अब ये सेलिब्रिटीज़ कह रहे हैं, हरीश बिजूर भी हमारे साथ शो पे हैं, वो कह रहे हैं कि आप आखिरकार जो एम्बेसडर्स हैं किसी प्रोडक्ट के, उनको जिम्मेदार कैसे ठहरा सकते हैं? क्या ये कार्रवाई एम्बेसडर्स के खिलाफ करना ठीक है?
देखिए, मैं तो इतना मानती हूँ कि जिस फैक्ट्री में माल बन रहा है उस पर कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए, और प्रचार और ये करना तो कोई भी कर सकता है। मैं इतना मानती हूँ कि मिलावटखोर, जमाखोर, हमारी सरकार इन पर कड़ी निगाह रखे हुए है, कार्रवाई करेगी।
नहीं, आप कह रहे हैं कि मिलावटखोरों के खिलाफ कड़ी कार्रवाई होगी, लेकिन कंपनी का एक स्टेटमेंट आया है हमारे सामने। कंपनी कह रही है कि उन्होंने अपना इंडिपेंडेंट टेस्ट ये कराया है, उनके टेस्ट ये कह रहे हैं कि प्रोडक्ट में कुछ गड़बड़ नहीं है। वो ये सवाल पूछ रहे हैं कि क्या पता हो सकता है कि यूपी का जो फूड एंड ड्रग एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का वो टेस्ट है जिसके आधार पर ये पूरी कार्रवाई हुई, वो ठीक है कि नहीं, इस पर भी सवाल हो सकता है संभवतः, क्योंकि कंपनी अपने स्टेटमेंट में कह रही है कि हमारे मैगी नूडल्स आपकी सेहत को कोई नुकसान नहीं पहुंचाएंगे।
देखिए, कंपनी का जांच मायने थोड़ी रखता है, ये एजेंसियां जांच करती हैं वो मायने रखता है। और जो जिनसे ने कमी पाई है तो कमी पाई है, इनके ऊपर कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए, होगी।
I'm going to leave it over there. That's Sadhvi Prachi, the Minister for Food Processing, joining us, and rather ominously she says, Harish Bijur, that the strictest possible action will be taken against Nestle. Now, do you find it strange that for so many years no one's found a problem, and suddenly the government system coming down in such strong language against one of India's most respected companies?
No, I put it this way, that it's good that, batches which aren't okay are actually detected, which means that the FDA administration, the Food and Drug Administration is very alive and it is very active. That's good. But then, when we talk about strict action, one must remember that these are quality conscious companies at the end of the day. And a multinational that operates in India for long numbers of decades is not playing around with the lives of people as we seem to want to hype it up. I'm not holding a candle for Nestle, but I'm simply saying that we must deal with this with a certain degree of temerity, which is different, and not really jump off the gun.
One final
really
question to Sunil Shetty. Will this now make celebrities view products slightly more carefully? Will things change? Because now the government is saying that you're responsible for the kind of product that's put out and the impact that that product has on the health of people. We've heard Devendra Sharma suggest that celebrities should be careful about colas as well. If they're injurious to health, the celebrities too are being held accountable. Will that force a change in the way people think, Mr. Shetty?
No, I think this only ensures the fact that the government is going to take the necessary precautions when it comes to giving licenses to companies. Before a new product is launched, I think they should have a definite FDA clearance, and only if the FDA clearance happens will celebrity agree to endorse a product. If it is not allowed in the market, why would we endorse it? So I think it's the chicken or an egg situation here.
Okay, Devendra Sharma, just 10 seconds, final words from you. I know you got your hand up, so I don't want to deny you that. 10 seconds, quickly.
I think we have to learn from what Michelle Obama is doing in America. She finds that all these breakfast cereals and these kind of junk foods are creating obesity in the children and also creating malnutrition. She's throwing them out. She's driving them out. And these companies have been there for long. She's driving them out, and they're finding space in India now. And we are welcoming them because we said they're
okay, you've heard both sides.
We have to be
on the Newsroom and on the India Today channel.
Celebrities also
we never take
a
side. We don't tell you what to think. You've heard from Devendra Sharma. You've heard from the Minister. You've also heard from Sunil Shetty and from Harish Bijur. You decide where you stand. But here's what I wish to say as we conclude the first part of Newsroom tonight. At the end of the day, any product can be sold only after it gets relevant approvals from the government. And if the government has given approvals to Maggi and to other products, then can you hold celebrity brand endorsers culpable? That's the one thing that needs to be thought about. And secondly, if Maggi hasn't failed any test so far, instead of just condemning the entire company, instead of condemning the product, could it also be a problem with just that batch of Maggi noodles? I think we need to wait for the answer to that question to come in before we jump to conclusions, condemning Nestle, condemning Maggi, because so many people grew up having Maggi. Of course, the nutritious content of Maggi is always suspect, but then it's a snack, and you know that as well. It's not necessarily the most wholesome meal, but is it necessarily injurious? Let's wait for all the results to come out before jumping to conclusions.